I just want to let you all know that the meeting did not quite go according to plan. Veronica was invited to an informational meeting that was presented to her in the email, and she was cordially invited actually to answer any questions that were presented to her as an Archuleta County Commissioner. She did bring Todd Weaver, the county commissioner, with her to this meeting and had him represent her in this private matter of her recall election. So there are some ethics issues involved with Todd representing Veronica as the county attorney in official capacity as a county attorney, when in fact he was representing her in a personal matter. By law, Veronica is allowed to get legal representation for her recall election, but it is a conflict of interest for Todd to represent her personally as well as the county. Unfortunately, I had to let that continue because Veronica insisted that she was only there to answer her questions, and please do not let anybody be informed from my presentation that she had somewhere to be and that it conflicted with her schedule. So I allowed that to happen, at which point Veronica had about 15 to 20 members of the audience supporting her, which is fine, but they basically hijacked the entire meeting. They would not let me do my agenda, which the agenda was supposed to be that I presented the information on the recall election. Veronica was supposed to have the same amount of time, a half hour, to explain her position, and then a half hour was supposed to be given to the audience to answer any questions, either for Reclaim Archuleta or Veronica. Unfortunately, that schedule went right out the window when Veronica insisted that she be only asked questions and not allow me to give information to the public about her recall election effort against her. So I have been dealing with Veronica lying about me for going on over 2 years, but definitely here within the last couple of weeks, she's been telling people that I have been lying about her agency with Exit Realty. The presentation that I was actually able to give on Saturday, after about an hour into the meeting of being vehemently and viciously attacked by her, the county attorney, and her friends, and that is how they represent themselves, the friends of Veronica. So I just want to be clear. They allowed me to do my presentation, to which I referenced a myriad of state law, DORA regulations, the rules on real estate brokers, and the Colorado Association of Realtors Code of Ethics. I did ask Todd if he would be willing to reference any law whatsoever that indicated that Veronica was not an agent before I gave my presentation. I was told he didn't have to because he was the county attorney. I would just like to note that I am still calling for Veronica's immediate resignation due to the fact that she has willfully, maliciously, with intent, and wantonly misrepresented her agency with Exit Realty. And Todd should also be fired or resign immediately for his conflict of interest in representing a commissioner in her private recall effort while claiming to be the county attorney representing the public. So I am so sorry for the chaos that you are about to see here. By no means was that what I had planned for the community. It was havoc and chaos created by Veronica and her followers and supporters so that they could present to you the solution to this problem. And that solution was that I am a liar. I encourage you to please look into this yourself and make your own decision that would be best for our community. Veronica and the other commissioners have tabled this issue to September 3rd. They do plan on making this purchase agreement vote, and so Veronica should recuse herself from making a vote at all regarding this on September 3rd, and should leave this up to the other commissioners, who should then vote no, because the entire situation has arisen from a conflict of interest, a dual or double agency of Veronica Medina acting also as an agent for Shelley Lowe and Exit Realty, making it impossible for her to actually have the best interests of Shelley Lowe as the person receiving commissions for this purchase and the public. And by law, she is required to represent the public's agency at all times while she is a commissioner. So enjoy the show, you guys. I'm slightly ashamed of it, and thank you for your time. Okay. All right, are we ready to start? Veronica wants to go first. She told me that I shouldn't explain anything, and she's happy to take questions.
Does anybody need any explanation why we're here today? I think everybody knows. I don't know. That's why I came.
I'm here to give you a half-hour explanation of everything.
Oh, okay, very good.
But Veronica said that she has somewhere to go and she would like to have questions asked by her first.
Well, that was what was told to me, is I was here to answer questions.
Oh, okay.
So what questions was...
That was not what was told to her. It was told it was an informational meeting. I'm so sorry. I just want to clarify.
I can't hear you.
So I said she was told it was an informational meeting. Just want everybody to know.
Yes, and I'm not familiar with everything going on. Just curious, if the developer is buying the property at $2 a square foot, why is the county paying $10 a square foot?
Sure. Todd Weaver is here. He is the county attorney.
I'm the county attorney. The board has not agreed to pay anything at this point in time. The board has not made any decisions regarding any piece of property regarding the new admin building. It's not entered any contracts to purchase. It has not even signed a letter of intent to purchase any property. So it's exploring all its options at this point in time, and no formal decision has been made regarding any property whatsoever in the county.
Okay, Madam Chair, I have one more question to ask for both.
Sure.
I know there's been some preliminary discussion on the price of the property. I don't know if any one of the parties wish to change or present a different price for their property. No, sir. No? Okay. All right. Shelley?
If there was any change to the price.
No.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to ask the question because I didn't want somebody to ask me, why didn't you ask that question?
Okay. All right. With that, if there's no other questions, commissioners, are we ready to make a decision? Somebody ready to make a motion?
Denise, will there be some citizen input when they start looking again at the land, like a focus group or something?
That's up to the board. That's the board discretion. Obviously, it's been tabled until to the next regular meeting, which is September 3rd, I believe, the next Tuesday of next week. I have no idea what the board will decide at that point in time. I don't even know if they'll move forward with any decision. They may table it again to get more information about other potential options.
What's been tabled is a proposal to buy the property.
What's been tabled is a letter of intent and a purchase and sale agreement. That is correct. But that does not bind the county to actually close on the property. None of them do.
It does bind them to $10,000 in escrow funds.
Which is, if the county decides not to purchase, they receive that back.
Now, is this just a purchase of just the land?
It is just the land.
I heard something the other day that one of these parcels was going to include the building being built.
That is not the, what's before the board at this point in time is only the land and the land only. If that option is decided upon, that will be much more further down the road.
Okay.
Because under the letter of intent, the county has 120 days to do its due diligence. They want to go out, we're going to go out if we decide to move forward, do geotech, basically see, well, how deep is the rock? How feasible is it to build in this location? And after the 120 days, if the county decides that's not a good spot for us, we can get out of the deal and we get the escrow money back. So.
And what is the developer's role in all of this?
I was just meant to attend and listen.
Well, it's just okay. I read about this developer from Montrose, I think. That's
yes, Mr. Dragoo, he actually has a house here. He lives off of Pietro.
Okay.
So he has been in this community for a number of years. Actually, they attempted to build a factory here in Archuleta County and in the town of Augusta Greens, but the town declined that venture. And they actually make high-end fly fishing reels. There's another company they own. And they employ 600 people across the world from that.
Wow.
That's the one they built in Montrose.
Right, that their headquarters is Montrose, and
Okay.
that's part of their development in Montrose, and includes workforce housing. I've actually been there and I've seen it a couple of years ago. A boutique hotel, you know, restaurants. So it's been built up over a number of years. So they've had success doing this in Montrose.
There are, go ahead.
So going back to I understand that you haven't signed any, that nothing's, but going back to this $10 a square foot versus $2 a square foot, what's the incentive for the county to invest that kind of money if a decision was made in the future? Why would the county choose to do that?
And what was the second part of your question?
No, why would the county,
So-
down the road, if you decided to go forward this, what's the incentive to purchase this land for that money?
I don't think there's per se an incentive. Both properties that we looked at, it was about the same dollar amount per square foot. The only difference was location, obviously.
And does the other location have any infrastructure?
Yes, it does.
So then what's the advantage of having that other location over this location?
The commissioners took a lot of different factors into play. I don't know if one is better than the other. I think if you do apples to apples kind of a comparison, yes, the utilities are there. It is a frontage road to 160, so it does have more exposure for businesses. I don't think a county building really needs to be on 160. I don't think it's necessary. That's a better location for businesses. But again, and then 160, the 160X over across from the hospital, it's off the road. It isn't right on 160. So it would be considered an anchor property, which the developer has already applied for grants to build affordable housing. But other than that, I mean, they're still moving forward, even though we haven't signed a contract with them. They're still doing their thing. It's not solely based on the county.
Veronica, there are some questions that were submitted online.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Veronica, did anyone ever bring up to you when you were first running for county commissioner the question, don't you think your job in real estate is a conflict of interest? And do you recall anyone asking you this prior to the election results?
No, I do not.
Okay. As the person who ran against you, I heard about this a lot, just as an FYI.
I don't know why that's relevant. The other commissioners have jobs.
Presentation. The presentation would explain that.
Well, the presentation is not factual.
That's not
You're-
true,
you're-
actually. You haven't even seen it.
Well, from everything that you
So
have
thank you very
said-
much. I appreciate your
Thank you
comments,
very
but we are
much.
going to
So
try and
what is
stay
the next
Say, could
question?
we have some decorum?
some decorum,
Absolutely.
please.
Let's
Some
have the
politeness.
next question.
Please.
If Veronica has to
why
leave,
don't
let's
you-
let her respond.
I don't
and not
appreciate
be
her.
interrupted.
I
Rachel,
really don't
please.
appreciate her misinforming the public.
Rachel,
Thank you.
you'll have a
so-
chance to respond.
Why don't you recuse yourself from any discussion or vote in real estate due to a conflict of interest?
Because not all real estate issues or matters that come before the board are not a conflict. If I do not have a financial gain for that decision, then I do not need to recuse myself. I'm not financially gaining from it.
How is she financially getting?
She is not financially gaining from it. The law states that she cannot benefit financially a company for which she is an agent of. So she is benefiting financially Exit Realty. This is a conflict of interest as she is an agent for Shelley Lowe by law. And you are required in a principal-agent relationship to actually work in the best interests of your principal.
That's incorrect. The law does not state that.
It does. I'm more than happy to reference the laws here.
Rachel,
That's not-
that is not accurate, and I've been working in the financial
I would love
service-
to give this presentation. Would anybody in favor like to hear this?
You know what I would be in favor of is your attitude changing just a little bit.
I don't appreciate being told that I didn't say the truth when I haven't been given the opportunity to say
You haven't been
anything.
given her an opportunity to even answer anything.
She's
You
allowed
come
to
in with
answer
an
anything.
attitude.
She's been
Rachel,
answering
we're
for
not
15
saying-
minutes.
You're not-
I'm happy for people to hear this, but to say that I'm a liar without hearing this is not factual.
Rachel, no one is saying you're not telling the truth.
You're not
We're
accurate.
saying we're disagreeing with your opinion. That's all.
That's
Can we
fine.
do
I would
that?
love to give the presentation. It's not just my opinion.
Well, but Veronica needs to have time to speak.
She's welcome
Because she
to.
has to leave, but she keeps getting interrupted.
Well, I keep being told that I'm a liar, so
No,
I would like to
you
not be
can-
told that I would like to be
We'll
told
give
I'm
you
not
all the time
misinforming
you
the
want to
public.
present your
Sir,
case once
sir.
Veronica is done.
Sir, can we go on to the next, who has another question?
So I think, because Rachel made a statement, Rachel is not an attorney. I do have the county attorney here, so he can give the definition for Colorado, not wherever the definitions came from, but Todd, would
Colorado.
you like to speak to that?
I mean, I also, in addition to being an attorney, I'm also a licensed real estate agent. My license is inactive because I choose not at this point.
Would you like to stand up so they can hear you?
So, in addition to being an attorney, I'm also a licensed real estate agent. My license is inactive in real estate because I don't have time to do it. I'm on basically 24/7 calls as a county attorney.
Why is it
Yes,
today?
that's fine. That's part of the job. The term real estate agent, yes, the name agent is a real estate agent because real estate agents are agents for their buyers and for their sellers. If they simply hang their license at a brokerage, they are not an agent for that brokerage. They don't have any right to legally bind that real estate brokerage to anything. All they have is their license hung there. I actually had my license with Exit Realty in Colorado Springs before I moved here. So I'm intimately familiar with the structure of Exit. A real estate agent who has a license with a real estate broker, including Exit, only gets paid when they close on a deal, if they help a couple buy a house, if they help a couple sell a house, then they get paid. It's almost like buying and selling a car. You get a commission when you buy, a car dealer, salesman gets a commission. Same thing with a real estate agent. When they buy or sell, help a client buy or sell a house, they get commission. The brokerage get cuts of that. So, but if, for example, in Colorado Springs, if another agent sells a house or helps a couple buy a house, I don't see a dime of that. That only the brokerage and that real estate agent gets a cut. That's it. So that's why the term real estate agent is an agent. That name is in there because they're an agent for their buyer clients or their sellers clients. They are not an agent for the brokerage, unless perchance, like Shelley Love, who owns a brokerage. Now she's a real estate agent and she's also an owner, so she can bind a brokerage because she is a legal authority to do that. That's the only way she is an agent, because she has an ownership in that brokerage. So real estate brokerages they're like franchises, and she's the owner of that franchise.
Thank you for that explanation. That's extremely accurate to the relationship. Just a quick question. As real estate agents, do you have any control or ownership over your principal?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
No more than I, as a financial advisor, have any control or ownership of the firm who lets me list as a financial advisor. It's the same situation.
Correct.
No control, no benefit. Everything is made through the compensation we have with the client. If there is any power of attorney that exists, isn't this accurate? It exists between a document you signed between yourself as an agent and the client. You're working with them to help guide them in a real estate transaction, or for me in a financial transaction, to sign papers and guide them, and they give you certain powers to assist them in that effort. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
But it has nothing to do with the principal. You have no control of the firm itself.
That's correct.
Okay. I think that needs to be clearly established because some of the things I read on the website were completely inaccurate to what I have experienced in the financial services industry for nearly 30 years.
Yes.
And they're almost identical.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm just gonna accept that you're not getting any incentive, and I didn't mean you getting the incentive, but I'm still trying to figure out why the commissioners are leaning toward that property over the other property. Why that property?
Workforce housing.
Workforce housing, because workforce housing, more housing in our community has been a long time issue. This is just a different way that the county can assist in being an anchor property so that the developer can then apply for more grants through the state.
But wasn't this other property also supposed to have workforce housing?
No, ma'am.
No?
No. It's
No.
a smaller lot.
No.
No, there's more. That all there is commercial around there. But again, the commissioners haven't decided 100% on which property.
No,
they're
I understand that.
leaning
I understand that.
Really quick, I want to answer one thing because I did have the pleasure of seeing this website, and some of the things that were said as far as my name being on the contract for the lease agreement or the sales contract. The reason my name is on there is because I am the chair of the board. The chair signs all contracts, all documents, maps when they are replotted. I mean, the county's employee checks. So I sign everything. So that's why my name is on that contract, for no other reason, because I am the chair of the board this year. That's all. All right. Another question, John?
Isn't it fair to say you all are still looking around at other options as well?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I know the meeting today is not specifically about the land purchase or potential purchase. It's about the recall effort. But I did read I think it was in the Sun, that the recommendation to purchase that property across from the hospital was done because it would leave open some of the other space over by Walmart for additional retail operations. Personally, I think that's a wise thing to do, and I'm glad that the commissioners have that kind of guidance in looking at that issue. Personally, if we're going to and this is an if the land is going to be purchased or should be purchased or whatever, if we're going to have a new administration building, I think it's appropriate to have it away from retail space, not close to it. And so, personally, I think if the choice is going to be made, that's a better choice than the Walmart choice.
Well, in the 160 property, there will be some retail, there will be some affordable housing, there'll be the missing middle housing, and then there'll be the higher end housing. So there'll be a mix, is what the developers plan, what they've shared with us thus far. That's what they've shared. The other thing, the recall is what it actually says. I mean, I would encourage anybody that has signed the petition to actually read what's on the petition, why they have filed the petition against me. It doesn't have anything to do with this piece of property, but they're definitely making about this piece of property. So I would do my due diligence and actually read the petition before you sign it. Is there any other questions for online? Yes, ma'am.
So if the county buys this property, is there potential for you to benefit from the sales of future properties on that land?
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know that I would benefit. I guess I would benefit if I had a seller or a buyer that wanted to buy a piece of property, but I haven't been doing real estate since I've been in office. I had one property that was still on the market when I went into office. That property finally sold this year, and I haven't been doing real estate. I ran on being a full-time county commissioner, and that's what I've been doing. Any of my previous clients that have come to me, I don't have the time to do real estate. I've referred them to other people in my office because I simply don't have time. Being a county commissioner is a full-time job, and anybody that says difference doesn't understand what it takes.
Veronica, do you have an active Zillow page where you have active listings?
I don't have any active listings. I did see the link that you had on your website. If you click on the link and actually click on the active listings, they're not my listings. I don't have any active listings. The last active listing I had was 342 South 10th Street, and that property sold. That was my last property, and I've had that for 2 years. So, yeah.
Veronica, I have been in a lot of commissioner meetings, and I generally think you're doing a really good job as a commissioner.
Thank you.
Amen.
If you could go back to the vote where you were encouraging your fellow commissioners to direct staff to develop this purchase agreement, if you could go back to that, would you recuse yourself?
So I did read your article when you said I was encouraging my fellow commissioners. I think we all had the same conversation, and because you have attended so many of our Board of County Commissioner meetings, do we ever always agree? Do we?
So
I'll get to your question.
I was there, and I
Yes.
heard your comments, and I was aware that you were encouraging a vote. You were encouraging a vote to direct the staff.
I don't think I was very specific in saying that we needed to do this, but to your point, I don't know if I would do things differently because, again, my thought process, because I had checked with the county attorney, I do not benefit from this one way or the other. I simply do not. The only thing that was on my mind at the time was how can we best benefit the community? This is a double benefit. One, the county gets a county administrative building, and two, our community is going to get more housing, which we desperately need. So that was my only intention there, nothing else. I financially do not benefit from this at all.
So you don't think you would recuse if you had the chance to?
I don't think so, because again, I checked with the county attorney to ensure that I had no issues, which I do on most things. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing for our community and not making decisions for the community that would then put me in jeopardy or whatnot. So I do check with the county attorney when it comes to my real estate license. Because again, I'm gonna have to make a living in 4 years or 8 years whenever I leave. And right now, all I'm doing is paying out because I have to maintain my license, I still have to pay my dues, I still have to do those things. But I don't have time to do real estate, so I don't benefit. And if you look at the decision when it was made for this property, Commissioner Mays made the motion, which Ms. had so correctly pointed out. I did say I will make a motion because it went silent for a long period of time. I just didn't want the motion to die for lack of a motion, so that's why I was gonna make a motion. But it was in no way, which happens all the time, I shouldn't say all the time, it happens frequently. That's why I was going to make the motion, because I felt like we needed to move forward on one or other of the properties to have that discussion. So then Commissioner Mays made the motion, Commissioner Brown seconded the motion. So whether I recused myself, it wouldn't have mattered. They made the decision on moving forward on that property. My vote wouldn't have mattered. Does it matter? Yes, because the community sees that potentially I might have a conflict, but I do not have a conflict. Penny?
Well, to me, the elephant in the room is you're friends with Shelley. She's your potential boss, or was. She benefits, so, you know, maybe let's give my hand to your hand and put some money in your hand. And that, to me, is what's being said. That's what I'm hearing, is that that's the reason why you need to recuse yourself every time we have property involved. So, I mean, come on, people. Let's just do our jobs, move on, and keep Medina in her seat.
Quit gossiping.
Well, and I will say that I mean, what real estate transactions are regulated. I mean, if I was to receive any monies from this, it could definitely be documented. I would not accept any monies. That's not why I'm in this position. If I wanted to make money, I would have stayed being a real estate agent. I would not have ran for county commissioner. The reason I ran for county commissioner because I was tired of seeing all the backdoor deals that were done. And Bill Hudson, you were in there many times. You saw some of the things that were happening. You knew that deals were being done behind the doors. And that's why I ran, because I was tired of the same old, same old. And now because I don't go with the same old, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm being attacked. It's not about being a real estate agent. It's not about this property. It comes down to one thing. It comes down to me moving forward and not renewing the previous county manager's contract. That's what it really has come down to. I've had emails, and I've shared that emails that saying if I just give him his job back, this would all go away.
Gosh, come on.
So, and I've shared that with the paper. So that's what this is about. Derek Woodman had the audacity to tell the current county manager yesterday, thank you for keeping my office warm. Because once they remove me from office, if they are successful, that is the plan. That is what this is about. Yes, sir.
Just to those 2 points you just spoke to, the recusal issue. We don't elect people, this is just an opinion I have. We do not elect people to offices to constantly be recusing themselves for the slightest mild issue that isn't even clearly established by statute. We want them to use the expertise that they have developed over the years in working in this community or other communities and apply that knowledge as they're serving us as commissioners. And I would hate to see Veronica not use her expertise in real estate industry in dealing with all the land issues that come up to the county. Why in the world don't we want a commissioner that will use that knowledge to the best she possibly can for the benefit of the county? We don't elect her to recuse herself constantly. That's ridiculous.
Amen.
The other thing is this. I was going to ask the question, but you brought it up already. Was there a nefarious or deceitful reason outside of these agent issues, real estate issues, that you feel was the reason why this effort was put forward, this initiative? And you've indicated it had to do with the not signing the contract for the past county manager. Is Ashley present? Ashley? I'd like to hear from both of you on that in a little more detail, because if it's not mentioned anywhere.
It's not the reason, so I won't speak to it.
Okay, so you're saying it's not the reason, but you're saying it is. And I have some concerns if it ends up being a reason, because I see the reason given as very weak for a recusal.
I've never met Derek.
For a recall.
So that is not
very, very weak. And I'll let you speak to it later. We'll listen to what you have to say, Rachel. And I do respect your knowledge and your opinion.
I will be referencing laws, statutes, DORA, the Division of Real Estate, and the Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
So please stick with me.
Do you have a real estate license?
No, I don't.
Then how would you know all these things?
Because I referenced, I wrote DORA.
You wrote DORA?
Yes, I did. I did a lot of research on this. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I was going to say, I find it interesting, the timing of all this with the departure of the county manager. And
it took over a month.
Even before the land thing came up, the rumbling was already happening. I do not see this as... I've
never met Derek. I've never spoken to Derek. I am part of this reclaim effort, and it is not because of Derek, I do promise you.
Rachel, you've only now since, just because you are the former
No, that's not why,
candidate.
actually. It's because the law shows that this is what is happening, and I'm happy to do this presentation and show everybody.
But you are not the one that initiated this.
No, I am not.
That's right.
That's right.
So you only jumped on board so you could help.
Well, because she explained to me what happened,
Right.
and I researched
Yeah.
it.
Yes. So you are not.
Do you want to be a commissioner, Rachel?
No, I may not even be here in November. I have no conflict of interest in this. I am here just to give you the truth.
Oh, so that's different than what I've heard. I've heard that you've told people to sign the petition because you were going to replace me.
No, I said
Which
sign the
isn't-
petition.
which isn't.
Actually, what happens depends on you with this recall effort. It doesn't have anything to do with us. There's several different legal avenues that happen because of this petition,
Correct.
and it all depends on you. It doesn't depend on us. I'm like, literally, there may be no candidate whatsoever. There may be no recall election. So it has nothing to do with me. If Veronica were to resign today, effective immediately, the Republican Central Committee would then form a vacancy committee,
Which is already formed.
and the Republican Committee Vacancy Committee would then, through a quorum, put a replacement. I am not a Republican, so if Veronica were to do that, I would have no say in that. If Veronica were to resign within 5 days of the petition being presented for validation, it would not be counted against her. Again, they would put in a Republican through the end of her term with the vacancy committee. If the petition is validated and Veronica does not resign before the recall election, then you will have the option to recall her or not. If you answer yes, you would recall her. There may or may not even be candidates that qualify on the ballot for you to vote for. If there's the last slide in there. So if you were to have her do the recall election and she resigns after the recall petition is validated and there are enough signatures, the vacancy committee would appoint another replacement for Veronica through the election. So this has nothing to do with any personal interest of mine. It has nothing to do with any personal interest of Ashley's. Literally, anybody who can run for commission.
So we'll move on.
Yes, it is. What do I have to gain from telling the truth and being attacked by the community?
We're gonna
Once
answer
again.
questions. Go ahead.
I'm not going to talk over people, because I think it really would be nice if one person at a time speaks. Thank you. So one thing that has continually occurred to me in this situation is some of the arguments that I hear on any side of it fails to take into account what a small community we live in. And so when we're talking about you being friends with and employed by Shelley.
I hang my license, she's
you
not.
had your,
Yeah.
okay, yes.
I'm an
yes,
independent contractor.
Yes, okay. So, a whole lot of us live here because we choose to live in a small community. And when you're in a small community, you're going to be friends with a lot of the same people, right? And so saying, just kind of indicating that whereas in a large community, in a big city, huge county, that you would be able to do things in such a way that there was no way you had any connection to anybody that you were doing a deal with is way easier to pull off. In this community, that is not easy to pull off, and I think it's unrealistic to think that you should have to do things in such a way that you have no friendship or any kind of business association with anybody who's involved in the situation. I just think that's unrealistic and contrary to why a lot of us even live here at all.
Thank you, Beverly.
Veronica?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not, I guess it's a question, but I am the one that suggested that you come and speak with anybody that was interested. And I made it a point of giving you the time frame of 9:30 to 11. And I wonder why you're not willing to stay for the presentation and then ask questions based on the presentation.
So I didn't realize it was a presentation when you and I had messaged, because we never spoke by phone. You said for me to come and answer the questions of the people and not just do one-on-one conversations. There was never a conversation of a presentation.
Okay, let me rephrase that to, you want to answer questions and leads before we even explain where we're coming from.
I didn't realize that was what your intent was, is to make a presentation on this. I mean, I thought I was here to answer questions of the community. not try to defend myself
I
against.
do recall that the email said an informational meeting.
Again, this
It
was,
does say-
it was an informational meeting for me to answer questions, which I'm doing.
I'd like to say, Rachel, you did accurately summarize the recall.
Okay, I would love to go through this all
So,
with
the
you all
process for the recall.
very
So I'd say
quickly.
that was
Thank
accurate.
you. I appreciate that. It was a lot of research. Yeah,
Hold on
It's
just a minute.
convoluted to read.
appreciate it.
John?
Yeah, if I may, I'm in line to work with Commissioner Medina and Commissioner Brown. And first, I'd like to say this is not Archuleta County recalling people. That's not the community I've grown up in since 1996, and I don't know where it changed the last few years, but shame on us. Second, I hope to work with these two, and I respect Commissioner Brown's experience in law enforcement. If we move forward with this, then we should have him recuse himself every time something comes up in regards to the law, or the sheriff,
So I do.
or any department.
Totally. I do
One
want
at a
to.
time, please.
If I can finish, I respect both of their experiences in life. And I think there's going to be three very different commissioners with different expertise. And again, this is not a good thing to go after real estate if we're not going to talk about Commissioner Brown. I'm not saying anything negative about Commissioner Brown. I respect both of them. But shame on us as a community. In 2 years, we're going to have the chance to either elect, maybe, she may get tired of all this garbage, but we're going to have the chance to either re-elect her or not. We don't need these people signing petitions and kicking people out, particularly employees of the county. So that's all I got to say. I'd love to go back to the community that we all knew, that cared about each other and cared about people that are willing to take this kind of stuff on, particularly when they're going through hardships in other areas of their life.
Definitely.
So shame on us for even being here today.
Appreciate that.
I agree with John totally, and I do want to make one statement about Veronica. I have never in my entire life seen anybody that works as hard as she does. If you look and you go to every single event that we have in our county, Veronica is there. Veronica is there to support our community. Veronica is there to work for the people. She does not take things into consideration for her own benefit. She does it for our community. And for this to be happening to her is a shame and a sham. And I'm embarrassed that our county would even think about doing something like this to somebody that works so freaking hard.
Amen.
Mary Beth?
Oh, I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I would like to see the presentation, and I think some of these people should lose their attitudes, and let's just be people, okay?
Thank you.
And she hasn't been given a chance to speak. Everybody interrupts her, or tell her she's not true, telling the truth when they haven't even heard it. So you did call her a liar.
Thank you.
Which you later denied.
No, I didn't.
He did.
Okay, if we could, please, if we could do the presentation and everybody can make their own decision about this, whether you feel that it's shameful or not. I appreciate everybody coming out here.
Mary Beth?
I thought of my idea. I know you and the county attorney probably have looked into this, but is it okay for an employee to be actively going against what the voters voted? You got voted in by 57%, if I do recall. Is it okay for the taxpayers to be paying someone to work against us?
So any qualified registered voter within the county can file for a recall petition. That's the only qualification, is that they are a qualified registered voter within the jurisdiction that the recall petition is initiated. That's the only requirement.
I'm from the private sector. If somebody did that in my business, they would be fired instantly,
Yeah.
and so would their spouse if they worked there.
You gotta look at, are they doing this on their paid time?
They cannot do it
There's
on.
no indication that that's happening.
That's true.
Yeah.
They cannot, right, that would violate state and federal law if they were using county resources or doing during county hours. That is a terminable offense, immediate termination.
And you're pretty certain that didn't happen, is that
Yes.
correct?
So
Okay.
far.
All right.
Yes?
Can-
Behind
can
you,
we
Bill.
see the- can we
Sorry.
see the
Just one second, I
presentation?
think there's one more question behind you.
I just have two statements. First, a question for the county attorney. Even though Veronica doesn't have a financial gain in any sale to Exit Realty, could she recuse herself on an ethics basis? I mean, with all the uproar and everything, everybody's talking about, you know, the conflict. Could she just say, you know what, with everything, I'm just gonna back off of this vote because it directly affects the company that I work for? Just as I would expect Warren to maybe pull himself away from anything that relates to not necessarily law enforcement, but his direct insurance company, his wife's insurance company, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's up to each individual commissioner. I know Commissioner Wadley would always, anything to do with the restaurants, he would recuse himself, even though I told him repeatedly, unless it's directly impacting the rows, there's no reason for you to recuse yourself under the law. He just chose to do that, even though, but the problem is that makes an issue if there's a tie vote. If there's only two commissioners, there's a tie, that's a loss. So that's why I really only encourage, you know, I've been an attorney for 24 years, so I know the law pretty well. And especially in situations where, you know, they're elected to make decisions. And that's why they're elected. So I kind of agree with, someone commented, I think the gentleman over here saying they shouldn't recuse themselves on any remote possibility that it somehow might be a minute conflict of interest because they're elected to make decisions. They're the decision makers. And that's why they're elected. So to me, there really has to be a direct, true conflict to recuse themselves. And if I see one, I let them know and I basically say, you have to recuse yourself. And that's the same thing with like ex parte communication. For example, if the Board of County Commissioners are sitting in what's called a quasi-judicial function, saying there's something appealed to them, someone gets denied a land use permit, I'm taking an example, or a short-term rental permit, there's a good example. And they appeal that to the Board of County Commissioners. Well, if any one of the commissioners meets with that short-term rental owner away from that hearing, they automatically have to recuse themselves because they are no longer unbiased. They have outside information they can't use. And so they would have to remove themselves. So that's a situation typically where there has to be a recusal. Or, again, if they are going to get a direct financial benefit or the company that they have ownership interest in is going to receive a direct financial benefit. That's an automatic recusal.
And I do not have any short-term rentals. I do not own any. Okay, sir.
Just very quickly to the attorney, in regard to the time frame in which the initiative was put together, that it can't be on an employee's time. This has to go through the county clerk.
Yes.
So it has to be on county time because it goes through the county. I'm having trouble understanding the logistics.
Sure. Yes, that's the exception. Of course, the county clerk, the clerk and recorder, is a designated election official for Archuleta County. So that office has to approve the form of the petition because that's required by law. What is not allowed, for example, if an employee was out gathering signatures during their regular business hours when they're supposed to be at work, unless they take PTO or they're off for some reason, that is not allowed. And they can't even have a petition in their office, in the county office.
Okay. Was there ever
with the exception of the clerk and recorder, who has the role by statute to approve the form of the petition, to validate the signatures. That's all set by statute. So that doesn't violate anything.
Okay. Was there ever any contact, Veronica, between you and Ashley to discuss this issue before the initiative was developed?
No, the day that we did not renew Derek Woodman's contract, she stopped talking to myself and Commissioner Mays. There was no communication. So that's why the timing is interesting.
So I just want to go over what I've her to try to understand. What I understood was that when the process was put on, to the county commissioners, that you did go to the county attorney and he said, no, you didn't have to recuse yourself. And that's been established. But the reason that I really wanted to come is because we had a big gathering where we drove through the town for political reasons, and there was a huge group of people. And I actually overheard what you said with your petition. And so you presented it to some of the Republican voters that were there, and you said, Veronica committed fraud.
She did. And I fully explained Veronica is acting as an agent of Exit Realty, and she is doing this on
And
behalf
I don't
of her
believe
boss.
it's true. I don't
I'm
believe
happy
it's
to
true. If
explain
it had
that.
been fraud, he would have stepped
I'm
up.
totally
for
happy
her.
to explain it. I really am. I truly am. You don't have to
You
listen.
know what?
That's fine. You're welcome
I
to
heard
get up and
both
leave.
things from two sides.
Okay, I'm going to reference all the laws. Did you guys have any law that you want to reference that she's not an agent?
I think that
No.
the county attorney
already explained that.
I know, but did he explain the law? Did he tell you the exact law? and
We
the
don't-
definitions?
she has no
listing. She hasn't.
Okay, well, she's still an agent actually. So can we start?
Can I
Okay,
just
so
say
the recall
one
effort.
thing?
Hold on, Melinda.
I'm a retired CPA, and during my career, I had to deal with a lot of ethical issues. In my opinion, Veronica has an excellent code of ethics.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry?
No, please.
Yes, thank you, I appreciate it.
Do you have the numbers of what your petition signing is right now, where it stands?
No, I do not. I'm not in charge of the petitions. Okay. Okay, so the petition recall effort has to have 1,829 signatures by September 3rd. This is a collective effort. Ashley has 2 degrees in communications and ethics. When she saw Veronica vote, that is when she decided to move forward with the petition recall due to ethics complaints. After speaking to Ashley personally for over 2 hours, I believed that it had merit. I've done research. I have spoken to several qualifying sources, and I'm willing to present that evidence here today despite the hostility. Okay. So in doing so, for voting on June 4th affirmatively to enrich a company that benefits financially from this, that she works for and is in agency for, Veronica violated 4 different laws. She violated failure to disclose, failure to recuse, failure to disclose a potential conflict of interest to the state body. There is an overseeing body for Veronica's actions. The Secretary of State was supposed to be provided 72 hours notice that there was a potential conflict of interest with Veronica working in agency of Exit Realty. Further, she violated a statute that requires her to recuse herself entirely and not influence the vote of any other board members. So when she did influence the votes of Mays and Brown, that was actually a violation of a law. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go back, please?
To what?
Slide before. So CRS 314422. Any member of a governing body of any city or town. Interesting. Is Archuleta County a city or town?
Is it a governing body of the town of Pagosa Springs? Is it a governing body of Pagosa Springs?
No, it's not.
It's the county.
Right. So why do you have list that statute in there?
The county is considered a governing body
right,
of the town of Pagosa Springs.
No, it's not.
Okay, so to continue.
The town council is a governing body.
Do you have another question? Anybody can call up the Secretary of State and get the definition of this.
I don't believe her either.
Just because the definition says that doesn't mean our definition of that is true.
That's why I'm saying anybody can call up and get the definition, which is what I am using from the state. I am not using my own interpretations. I am using the state, DORA, the Division of Real Estate, and the Colorado Association of Realtors definitions. And you will see that here. This presentation will be available on PDF. It does have hyperlinks, so you're welcome to go and do the research yourself. Okay, so as I stated, there is a governing board for Veronica. That is the State Independent Ethics Committee. She currently does have a complaint with the Independent Ethics Committee. They have moved forward with this, citing it is non-frivolous. They will be doing it is not non-frivolous yet, but they are moving forward and did not vote that it was frivolous.
But
So-
Rachel, that's not in the recall.
I'm so sorry. Can you just let me finish this and then I will take your
Well,
question?
I'm wondering
I promise.
why is it being brought up? That's what I'm asking.
I'm letting you know, okay? So the committee has been given this complaint based off of what is put into the recall. They have not found that frivolous. They are in the preliminary investigation phase. Veronica may not be aware of this because the person who has made the complaint has to waive their confidentiality during the preliminary investigation phase. Maybe Veronica will be contacted here within the coming weeks. I can't guarantee that. That's up to the IEC. But they have not found this frivolous off of the facts that were presented in the complaint already. So they are moving forward with the preliminary investigation at the state level.
So just really quick on ethics violations, we currently have one current commissioner, Commissioner Brown, that is in front of an ethics committee as a violation, and also former Commissioner Schaaf, who also is in front of the Ethics Commission because they did violate the Ethics Commission because they took money for, and I don't blame either commissioner, I really don't. It was bad information from staff. The former county manager advised those two commissioners that they could take this money to drive to work, to and from work.
Did Todd tell them not to do that?
So I'm speaking right now. So this ethics complaint went forward, and currently the county has spent up to $40,000 in defending these two commissioners on that ethics complaint.
No decision's been made by the
And no decision. It's still continuing. It's still going on. It's still costing the taxpayers lots of money. So just because somebody brings forward an ethics complaint doesn't mean that it's valid. It doesn't mean that a commissioner has to be removed. We have two commissioners that have an ethics complaint, and we, the taxpayers, are continuing to pay for that. And that was a decision, I guess not a decision, it was information brought forward from the former county manager and advise those commissioners. Yes, sir.
And that is why this has nothing to do with the actual recall.
I just want to point out that once the IEC does find a complaint frivolous, they no longer move forward with any issues that would cause the county to lose money. Todd, did you ever say to the other two commissioners that they cannot do these ethics complaints?
That's an attorney-client privileged communication.
Okay, there you go.
So, but again, this has nothing to do with the petition.
I'm just letting you all know that this is actually showing that there is legitimacy to these claims.
That doesn't mean
that doesn't mean that is not.
So the Department of Regulatory Agencies, or DORA, and the Colorado Association of Realtors are aware of the ethics complaints.
Because they're going forward does not mean
I'm
it's
so sorry.
legitimate.
Excuse me.
But this is
Okay, thank you. Please let me speak.
I understand, but
Let her hear. Come on, let's just.
This has nothing to do with it. It doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, so the Colorado Association.
Let's let her keep going so we
Can I
can
ask
get
that
done
question?
with it.
Please, can we wait? So the Colorado Association of Realtors is aware of the ethics concerns. I spoke to them very fluidly about what was going on here and even asked them for advice on how this ethics complaint would be filed. No ethics complaints have been filed against Shelley Lowe or Veronica, but they are stating Veronica is misrepresenting her agency with Exit Realty. I will go into the definitions here from DORA and the Division of Real Estate and the law. Okay?
Does anybody know what the petition says as to the reason
So
why I'm being recalled?
this is not it. The proposed property, here is the information for this. $250 a square foot, blah, blah, blah. We kind of already went through that. Just wanted to point out that the proposed housing for people is at 80% of the area median income, and most workers fall outside of that. So they actually would not be able to afford this affordable housing. She called it missing middle, but it's actually not missing middle. It's going to be mostly for government workers. Most government workers are the only ones making 80% AMI or above. Most workers here in the county are making anywhere between 70% and below. So they're not going to be able to afford the development for the housing here either. The
Where did you get your information?
So what is that?
This is available all over. But
Really?
yeah,
we're not talking about the middle. There is another section that they are doing low-income housing.
It's not low-income housing though, because they have to make about they do have to make about $80,000 to $100,000 to be able to afford this housing. Further, the development is going to require the building of roads and the maintenance of the roads and the plowing of the roads, and we have no idea where that kind of money is going to come from. It would not be from the county. It would not be from the county because the county is not allowed to accept new roads as was discussed on Tuesday.
We were invited here for a presentation, and there's people interrupting the speaker. And I would really like to hear the speaker who's speaking, and then people take their turn, as Veronica was given a turn to speak, as other people have been given a turn to speak. I would really like to have everyone be quiet and listen to this presentation, or leave. If you don't want to hear the presentation, please leave. But please don't interrupt our speaker. Veronica, please don't interrupt.
It's false information and it's not right.
We haven't heard it. We would like to.
If you would like to talk to the without attacking.
Yes, actually I do.
Please,
Okay,
let our speaker speak.
All right, so our concerns are the following. Our concerns are the following, and they are concerns of the law. Medina is using the public treasury to enrich Exit Realty. She does not have to enrich herself in order to be an agent with a conflicting interest. She only has to enrich the business she works for, okay? That is not the requirement with this law, and I will show you the law. Medina cannot represent the best interests of Lowe while simultaneously trying to represent the best interests of the public without conflicts of interest. Conflicts can happen when acting in dual agency for the buyer and the seller. That is why it has to be disclosed and why she has to recuse herself from benefiting financially a company she is an agent for. Because she is under contract with Lowe of Exit Realty as a delegated single agent, and this comes from the law, the Department of, yes it does, regulatory agencies, the Division of Real Estate, and the Colorado Association of Realtors, okay? She is engaged as an independent contractor. This has nothing to do with being an independent broker. There are 5 different kinds of brokers: an independent proprietor broker, an employing broker, an associate broker, and a starting associate broker, and one other one that I can't remember off the top of my head, okay? So she is not an independent broker. Her licensure states associate broker. Please continue. Medina knows this is a conflict of interest and refuses to recuse herself and is actually misrepresenting the public on her agency for Exit Realty. This appears to be intentional due to the disclosure that is in the purchase agreement itself about their relationship as principals and agents and affiliates. The application requirements for licensure include 48 hours of Colorado contracts and regulations education. That is because real estate centers largely around agency law. So what is agency law? Agency law is a legal doctrine controlling relationships between agents and principals. If you notice, Dwight used the word principal when he was discussing her relationship with Exit Realty. This is accurate. In this case, Lowe is giving permission for Medina to go into contracts to perform for buyers and sellers on her behalf. As an associate broker, Veronica is going into contracts on Lowe's behalf as her employing agent. This is required by law. Okay? So Lowe is not required to be part of all of the back and forth with Veronica and a buyer, or all of the back and forth with a seller. But she is required to look over all of the contracts, and she is legally liable for anything that happens for misrepresentation, malfeasance, or malpractice when Veronica is practicing as an associate broker for her employing broker. Okay, so to clear up some confusion, not only is Medina a designated single agent for Exit Realty according to the rules and laws that regulate real estate brokers, she is also an agent for buyers and sellers who are also principals. She can represent in contracts entering into negotiations on their behalf. Therefore, she is the third party representing Shelley and the third party representing sellers. Shelley and sellers and buyers do not have to come together. Veronica is their agent between their negotiations. This is by law. Her employment contract as an independent contractor, 1099, does not make her an independent broker by licensure with the Division of Real Estate and the Department of Regulatory Agencies. That is just her employment contract to be a 1099 employee or come on employed as with Shelley Lowe as an employee. It has nothing to do with what kind of agent she actually is. So Medina is also the public's agent. We all voted for her to come into office to represent us in our agency, to go into contracts. And that is why Veronica's name is on all of the contracts, because she is the chair and she is the one who's supposed to be signing those contracts on our behalf. Veronica cannot be in agency for two different principles. That would make a conflict of interest. Shelley Lowe wants to make $400,000 in commission, but we want a place that is cheaper and don't have to build a building. So the public has different interests than Shelley Lowe does. When Veronica is representing both of them, she has a conflict of interest. They state that they have this relationship in the property agreement. So they're actually disclosing it to you and doing the right thing by law. What Veronica is not doing by right law is she is not informing the public appropriately about her agency. She is informing you that she is an independent contractor, which indicates or implies that she is an independent broker. She is not. Here's the law, you guys. So, what does Colorado law state is an agent?
Sounds like Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Yeah. Agent means a person granted authority to act for a principal under a power of attorney, whether denominated as an agent, attorney in fact, or otherwise. The term includes an original agent, co-agent, successor agent, and any person delegated with authority to work on behalf of a principal. The section 7 of CRS 15 actually defines what a power of attorney is. Power of attorney means a writing or other record that grants authority to an agent to act in place of the principal, whether or not the term power of attorney is used. Okay? So who decides if Medina is an agent of Exit Realty? There are several principal-agent relationships created under real estate law. For that reason, terms and definitions are not interchangeable. You can't interchange a registered agent with an agent, for example. And so they have very real and precise meaning under the law. They cannot be redefined for purposes of denying a conflict of interest, or the county lawyer, or on behalf of the commissioner, or redefined by the agent themselves. They can only be defined explicitly by the rules regarding real estate brokers, the Department of Regulatory Agencies, and real estate law. That's it. That's all that can be used to define this. So we can't go around making up new definitions. It doesn't really work that way. So here is the broker hierarchy according to DORA and the Division of Real Estate and the Association of Colorado Brokers. So Shelley Lowe is the employing agent. She is responsible for everything that every single one of her agents do as the employing agent at Exit Realty. Denise Fisk is an agent of Exit Realty, so she knows this too. Associate broker license, and you can see Veronica is an associate level real estate broker. She is not the employing broker, okay? Shelley is the employing broker, and all of this information is available online for you to peruse. So the following definitions come directly from the rules regarding real estate brokers, from the Department of Regulatory Agencies Division of Real Estate, and various laws referenced in the rules. There's a lot of laws referenced in the rules. So a broker is any person licensed by the commission to perform real estate brokerage services regardless, blah, blah, blah. You've got an associate broker. Level license works under the supervision of an employing broker. Employing broker has the same meaning pursuant to section blah, 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 blahs. Employing real estate broker or employing broker means a broker who is shown in commission records as employing or engaging another broker. So that is how the structure of a real estate company works. All right, every single person who is an agent who works under the employing agent is working as an agent for that employing agent. Okay? Veronica is...
I'm sorry, I want you to finish, but I don't want to lose something that's in the screens. Could we back up? Just a quick
Sure, the one before?
Yeah, where it says employer broker, I think everyone should take note of the second line there at the end where it says records as employing or engaging.
Yes. If that means employing independent contractor.
Engaging is different than employee.
It's considered
so I just wanted to point that.
Employment or engagement as a contract.
That's an important word, engaging.
Yes, it is, absolutely. So if she had employed Veronica as an employee, Veronica, I will be your direct supervisor. You're my assistant at front desk. I am employing you. Engaging is going into contract. So Veronica is under 1099 independent contract with Shelley Lowe. She is engaged as an agent.
Yeah, but she's not an independent contractor employee. And that's on the website that was put together by...
Technically, she's employed as a 1099
No, she's not an employee.
Okay.
She is not an employee.
She's 1099.
There is no, that's not oxymoron. There cannot be.
I will change that for you. I'm happy to change that and correct it, and I'm sorry. She is engaged as a 1099 contracted
A 1099, let's make it clear then, since you're bringing up the 1099.
Correct.
She's a 1099
Well, actually, I did.
NEC,
yes.
non-employee compensation.
Okay, I am
not
sorry.
Not 1099 miscellaneous.
She is engaged in
that
a contract.
That was straightened out by the IRS in 2020.
I appreciate that, thank you. She is engaged in a contract to receive commissions from Shelley Lowe in order to act in her agency.
As a non-employee.
So, there, okay, is that okay? I'm happy to change that for you, and I'm sorry, and I will
but
use that.
But it makes a huge difference to everything you're talking about.
Technically, no, it doesn't.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. The law actually says engage. The law says engage. It doesn't say employ only. It says employ or engage. She is engaged.
Do you realize how many times statutes are interpreted by the courts in different ways?
Can we hear the presentation, please?
Okay.
Yeah, please.
So,
she gave me permission to talk to her on this point, Bill, for interrupting me.
Okay, so DORA, the Division of Real Estate, the Colorado Association of Realtors, myself going through all of this, Ashley Springer going through all of this, many of the people who have signed the petition agree. I do like AI to second check my stuff because it's amazing, okay? What does it mean to act in agency? To act in agency means to represent another party in a legal or business transaction. Veronica is representing Shelley Lowe in a business or legal transaction, working on behalf of the sellers and buyers that contract underneath them for Veronica as a single agent. Is an associate broker acting in agency for an employing broker in Colorado? Yes, in Colorado, an associate broker is typically acting in agency for their employing broker. Would they be considered an agent under CRS 24-18-102B, which is the listed law that we have for the petition where she is acting in agency to financially benefit a company? Yes, under Colorado revised statutes, an associate broker would be considered an agent. This statute defines an agent as a person who has the authority to act on behalf of another in a legal or business capacity. An associate broker operates under the employing broker's authority to represent clients in real estate transactions. Therefore, they fall under the category of agent as defined in the statute. So that is why we move forward with this recall. It has nothing to do, we're not implying that Veronica is enriching herself right now. What we're saying is that Veronica is enriching a company that she works in agency for, and she has a conflict of interest. So Shelley Lowe's exorbitant high sales price for this is actually paying for her commission. While the county does not ever pay commissions, where do you think the seller gets the money from? They get it from the buyer. The buyer is us. So we have an obligation to make sure that we're getting the right property. I have to tell you, I've done some preliminary research, and there's at least 5 locations that are cheaper than this location. Several people are asking why we're doing this at $10 a square foot when there are plenty of others, I assure you. Even over by the other administrative buildings with the rock issues. That property is only $400,000. Even if we put another $5 million into it, it's still going to be less than the building that is going to be built on Highway 160. So these are the reasons why we came forward with this, because we do understand agency law. We do understand that Veronica is in fact working as an agent for Exit Realty. We do understand that she did not recuse herself. We do understand that she did not disclose this conflict of interest. We understand she believes she does not have a conflict of interest, and that is why it was not disclosed. However, the Department of Regulatory Agencies, the Division of Real Estate, the Association of Colorado Realtors, and the people signing this petition strongly disagree. And they have encouraged complaints for misrepresenting their agency because they are required by law to be transparent and honest with the public about all of these transactions. So when they say that they have a principal or affiliate relationship in that disclosure in section 9.2 of the purchase agreement, they're actually disclosing it to you. What they failed to do was be honest in their representations to the public online, over the phone, and in person. And so that's what we have an issue with. She needs to stop saying she's not an independent broker by any stretch of the imagination under Shelley Lowe. For Shelley Lowe to pretend like she is a violation of ethics. And for Veronica to pretend that she is a violation of ethics. So I understand the community is very upset about this. I understand Veronica's going through a lot of things. Everybody goes through things, unfortunately. I've had some things just as terrible as Veronica, I promise you. And
I don't want my personal business in this. This is about my elected capacity.
Okay, so I'm just saying, we are just holding her accountable as another part of the community. You may feel that this is shameful, but we're just following the law and trying to hold her accountable. Just saying that she can do whatever she wants because she's part of the community is not going to work for everybody, unfortunately. And if the community continues to decide that they want to support Veronica working in agency for Exit Low, and it is required by law that Veronica work on behalf of the public all the time to benefit us, okay? And I'm not saying that she hasn't done a great job. That's why I haven't shown up in 2 years. I don't really care, right? But when Veronica or anybody else, and I just want to point out that people who are behind this, they're not happy with Warren or Mays either. But the thing is, Warren is up for re-election. You cannot have a recall petition for anybody up for re-election within 6 months. You also can't have a recall petition for anybody whose office or term is up within 6 months. So we can't recall Mays and Brown. We cannot do it. It's legally by law. Veronica has 2 years left, and that's why we moved forward with this. We can at least stop. We can at least stop it. Well, Veronica also influenced the vote, and she pushed for the vote, which is illegal. Those are the laws that we referenced in the petition. Yes?
Is that true?
I'm still, I understand this is a question better directed to the commissioners as a whole. This is maybe not relevant to this, but I'm still trying to figure out why they would agree to spend $10 a square foot. Like, I don't get it. Give me a good reason why.
They haven't. It isn't gonna
Well, the purchase agreement was supposed to be agreed upon on August 6th. And because there was pushback from the community, I feel the commissioners tabled that so that they can make a better decision on September 3rd. In my opinion, this should not be an issue that goes up before the commissioners at all. It should be a dead issue because Veronica influenced the vote the first time around, and she's like ethically not allowed to do that or by law. Okay, so she wasn't supposed to, she was literally supposed to recuse herself, leave the room, and not influence the other members of the board at all concerning this. And so since she did, the whole vote is up in question, and the ethics boards are looking at all of the votes. Yeah, Denise?
How much is this recall petition costing the county?
Yeah, so the recall petition itself, the recall effort, is costing them $0. It is funded by volunteers who are working with the Reclaim Archuleta committee, and we are the ones funding this, we are the ones working on this, and we are the ones trying to educate the community on the true facts of agency law. I have had to correct Todd a couple of times in regards to his interpretations of the law.
How long have you practiced law?
So I haven't, I don't have to.
You're right, you don't know the law.
No, I do know the law.
To answer your
So
question about the cost.
this happened during a marijuana, this happened during a marijuana recall land use regulation.
A minimum of $38,000 it's costing the taxpayer.
It is not actually. So it's supposed to, I'm so sorry, that is not accurate. I'm so sorry, that is not accurate.
That's if it goes through.
No, No,
Okay.
I'm so sorry, I'm so
Ma'am,
sorry, I'm
let's
happy to
read
answer
what
this
it says
question.
on the petition itself.
The petition says.
37,634.
Yes, it
That
does.
is the minimum cost.
However, when the petition was filed, it was filed within the time period to have it go on the general election ballot. So this will not be, this will not be
Here's what
an
the petition
independent
says
special
itself.
election.
There's the cost right there.
So
That's the
this will-
estimated from the clerk and recorder's office.
Can we hear from the attorney instead of you?
No, we
Because he
can't.
practices
So-
law.
Excuse me, this is the public forum. I can speak if I want to.
I am the speaker, I will give you a moment to
No,
speak,
you will
thank
not.
you. Okay, so it will
That's
go,
the
I wanna
petition.
hear
That
what
shows
he
the
has.
cost.
It
We
will
don't wanna
go
hear you
on
anymore.
a
We're
ballot
done.
measure. It will go on a ballot
You're lying.
measure and it will not be its own independent election. So it is not going to cost $38,000.
That's not your decision. That's a clerk and
It is
recorder's
actually the
decision.
state's decision. The state says that if it falls within 90 days of the general election, the recall election will be on the general election ballot. You are more than welcome to look this information up yourself and see that I am in fact telling the truth. Yes. Mary Beth.
That is not what I heard from Christy Archuleta. So
Yeah, I know
you
the-
and she do not have the same opinions.
Again, the law states it. So anybody can just go look it up. I promise
If you
you.
were in violation of Colorado real estate law, would Colorado DORA, Department of Real Estate, be coming after you?
They have to
That's
file,
what I
you
thought.
have to have an ethics.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have one, obviously.
I don't. I'm not.
They have filed.
I have not filed it.
Or somebody did.
No, nobody has filed a real estate ethics complaint against
not?
Veronica.
Why not?
Because we just,
You're doing all this other stuff.
well, yeah, I don't have all the time in the world to devote to everything.
Oh, that's a good excuse.
I don't, right? Like Veronica has a schedule, so do I. It's weird, right?
No, you're weird.
So basically, if the county took out this piece of land
Yes.
in consideration, then you could withdraw the recall.
Yes, yes, that is actually correct. Yes, I
Would
have
you?
no doubt that that would
But
actually.
she's not the one doing it, it's Ashley.
Well,
Ashley.
the committee.
Yeah.
Recall.
Ashley is in charge of the petition, if Ashley so chose, or, the community, as we can see that you guys have clearly spoken, feel that you don't need to sign the petition, that it wouldn't validate, and there would be no recall election, and Veronica would stay in office. And the only way, we could have a second recall effort, until she actually has a recall election. At which point, if she has a recall election, you have to have a petition signed by 50% or more of people who voted in the last general election.
So basically, if this piece of land were removed and we looked at the other pieces of land, even though the other pieces of land turned out to be less desirable for a county building than the piece that Exit happens to have listed on behalf of the seller, or perhaps the seller should list it with some other.
Alrighty, thank you. We are now reconvening the regular meeting at 4:21. And we will go on to new business.
Yes, Commissioners, for new business, we have, yes, sir, it's item A, but never mind. It's been a long meeting already. C, true, because new business continued. So this agenda item is for the boards to consider and approve entering into a letter of intent to purchase property for the purpose of constructing a new county facility and give direction to staff moving forward with the purchase of the property. I'd just like to add that we had a presentation of when that was 2 or 3 weeks ago from the developer of the property over by the hospital. Dan Sanders, who is the owner of the property over by Walmart, is here and present, and if the commissioners had any questions or would like to discuss that property with him, he is here to answer any questions and engage in any discussion that the board wishes to do so.
Okay. Before we go into questions or further discussion, Commissioners, I would just like to make to disclaim, I guess, that I am a licensed realtor. I will not be personally involved or have any personal gain on any decision that is made by the board today. So whichever property, I do not stand to gain anything on this decision. just to clarify. All right, so with that, Commissioners, do you have any questions for either party? Because they're both here. I see Shelley Lowe here representing the 160, and then, I'm sorry.
Dan Sanders.
Dan Sanders, thank you. So Dan Sanders here for Cornerstone. Do Commissioners have any questions?
I do, Madam Chair. For Dan Sanders, would, if it was that, I mean, well, if the county owned property in that subdivision, would they be adhering to the HOA as part of paying annual dues or anything into those things?
Not come up.
Yes, sir. And name and address, I'm sorry.
Yes, the HOA, we have a Masters Association, and your property, if you were to be an owner of that property, that you would own about 9% of the total ownership of the whole development. And so you would be have to pay for your association fees. Probably based on a conservative figure, it would be about $400 a month with what the budget would be at this time.
Okay. Well, I know it's already established, but I probably already know the answer, but just to clarify, just to ask the answer, is there a possibility that the county could be excluded from that?
I would think so. I think, I don't know what the legal the legal process would be to be excluded, but that would be an option, I would think. I'm not opposed to that. There would be things we'd have to work out because you have common property that's shared with the rest of the sidewalk, you know, in front of the property that you'll have quite a bit of sidewalk that's public sidewalk, but the Masters Association is responsible for maintaining that and the landscaping that's in that area.
I'm not familiar with the process for that, but I'm more curious if it would go to a vote to the association themselves and then the possibility of, I don't know.
That's usually set out as a governance and or the bylaws, how that works. So it would depend on what they say, which I've not reviewed, so I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
And Ronnie, what I can do to help you with that is, if you do consider us, I could give you the Masters Association guidelines and documents so that you could review all that's there. There's basically two things you need to be involved in. One is you'd have the Masters Association guidelines, which would be what you would function by, like everybody else does, but they're not prohibitive or anything in any degree at all, really. And secondly, you would be able to, you'd have to submit to the Masters Association Design Review Committee what you would be doing with the property, what kind of building, what your layout would be, what your landscaping would be. We do have a design review committee that looks over that just to make sure that stays somewhat incoherent with the rest of the development. And so far, we have never had a problem with a submittal where we've had a problem with that not working best for you as well as for us. So we have Masters Association guidelines and design review guidelines, and I have the booklets that I can make available if necessary and when.
Madam Chair, I'd like to probably pose a similar question to the other developer.
Sure. Sean, can you come up to the podium, please? Yes, please. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Shelley Lowe, 25 Heath Drive, Pagosa Springs, Colorado.
Okay, Shelley, you heard me ask the question to Dan Sanders too. In this particular development, would the county be obligated to be into an HOA type sort of?
There are currently no CCNRs on that property, so we're open to negotiation.
Okay, so there's a possibility that the county can just buy what acreage it needs and it's on its own.
I'd have to discuss it with the owner, but I believe that that's a very good possibility.
Okay.
And again, we could do, excuse me, 1 acre to 5 acres, 4.5, whatever, because we're not platted yet. So we've got a lot of options.
Yeah.
We're very, very flexible.
And my thing, the reason I'm asking the question is because committing the county to an HOA or a development of some sort is still weighing on me a bit, and I don't want to have to commit the county. I mean, you know, and I'm only one vote, but I don't want to have to commit the county to paying HOA dues or HOA development, stuff like that in the future either. Right. But, you know, in this case, it's kind of pretty much same thing.
I understand
the two developments.
So again, we're very flexible. There are no covenants. We have no homeowner association. We're open to work with you in any way.
Mr. Brown, do you have any questions? You know, I don't have a question. I have a couple statements, if I may.
Okay. Shall we please proceed? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lowe and Mr. Drew were here a few weeks ago, and I appreciate their presentation. And Mr. Sanders, I also appreciate you being here today. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that we get to talk to you, and I get to see you face to face and know you more. And I feel like that your piece of property that you have in Cornerstone is a very good piece of property. It's very buildable, ready to go, and I think it would be a very nice location. It may be a tad bigger than what I think the county should have, but I think that it is a very buildable lot there, and I think it would be wonderful to have the building there. Conversely, Shelley, I appreciate Mr. Drew's your presentation, and I think that that would also work fine for the county. To me, in my mind, these two pieces of property are just, they're pretty equal, to be very honest with you. One requires putting in a road, accessing some of the utilities, the 160X, and whereas these amenities are ready to go on your lot, Mr. Sanders. So I think we're going to come out about the same as far as the price point when we consider the overall, and that's just my observation, and I wanted to share that just for the purposes of letting the public know. So thank you.
And I'll share my thoughts. I feel like the property, Mr. Sanders' property, is a great location. I feel like it would better serve businesses that need that frontage exposure that it has to drive more business there. I think we would be taking a piece of property that could be used, have a better use with a different type of a business. I too think that both properties are equal in that way. I really like the other lot, Mr. DeBrue's property, for the fact that we would be an anchor property to start some development that we absolutely need in this community, which would then drive sales tax revenue, also drive other small businesses to start, and then also have those services, other services available for locals. It is a tough decision. We've looked at about, I'm going to say at least 5 properties, roughly, give or take. So to come down to these two, we've definitely done our homework individually with the county attorney, county manager, and staff. Staff has been crucial in finding out information for us on, trying to get it down to where we are now. So, yeah, again, my thought is, just looking at that possible impact for the community overall is kind of where I'm landing. But thank you both for your time, and thank you for staying so long through this long meeting today. Mr. Mays.
Yeah. I look at both. I see the potential for both. And it's definitely a tough decision because they're very, I'm just thinking a little more.
Well, I think you can think, I think if we all made a statement that we wanted to make, so I've said my statement, if we want to make a statement, and then I will open it up for a motion. So commissioners, the floor is yours.
Let me ask, I gotta ask Todd Weaver before I ask this question. It is here.
You want to step out?
Yeah, please. Okay, Madam Chair, I think there's one more question to ask for both.
Sure.
I know there's been some preliminary discussion on the price of the property. I didn't know if any one of the parties wished to change or present a different price for their property.
No, sir.
No? Okay. All right. Shelley?
If there was any change to the price.
No.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to ask the question because I didn't want somebody to ask me, why did you ask that question?
Okay. I'm sorry. All right. With that, if there's no other questions, commissioners, are we ready to make a decision? Somebody ready to make a motion? So I'll make a motion. I guess. So I move to direct staff to negotiate.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Before you do, I'm not sure if it's good for the chair to make a motion on something that the other two commissioners feel that they're not.
But I am looking for something wrong.
I'm ready for a motion too. I may want it, but I don't think it's appropriate for the chair.
Okay, I just don't want it to die for.
No, it won't, it wouldn't matter.
All right.
I was being patient.
I'm thinking.
I'm over patient. Let's get it going, guys.
All right. Madam Chair, I move to direct staff to negotiate a letter of intent with Dragoon for the purchase of property located at, what was the address again?
West Highway 160.
West Highway 160, and then bring the final letter of intent back before the board for formal approval.
I second.
more discussion? Done, I will call for the motion. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. So if there's no further business before the board, I adjourn this meeting at 4:37. Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving down to an possible executive session. Pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute, section 24-6-4024B, for conflicts with town attorney to receive legal advice on citizen-led petition for the ballot question A, to impose a $150 per month fee on non-homeowner occupied licensed short-term rentals for the purposes of workforce housing. Do we want to go into executive session?
I'm gonna recuse myself from this one or the next agenda item.
Okay. Anybody else?
Do we want to?